Hello, family and friends. I'm Lorraine, your host. On behalf of the GodCast ministry team and the Meadowbridge Seventh-day Adventist Church, welcome and thank you for joining us for part 2 of GodCast, Facing Hypocrisy. On our first episode, we started a serious conversation with our friends about hypocrisy in the church in general, but then also in their own experiences. Because of the importance of this topic as it relates to the reality of doing life with God within a church or Christian setting, we thought it was important to spend more time getting into some of the very real issues. So today we bring you part 2 of that conversation. If you haven't seen part 1 or any previous episode, go to Meadowbridge SDA Church on YouTube and you will find those there. So now let's pick up with Valerie, Clarissa, and Leslie. You had mentioned at the beginning of the conversation other areas where hypocrisy is. But I know I hear about it mostly in church. Do you think hypocrisy shows itself in other areas of life?
Yes. Like I mentioned before, like in politics, people who are, they claim that they want to help our communities. They run on the high standard with their morals, but then you see that they're having these extramarital relationships, and they're doing things that are not, high moral, for our children, because this should be emulating what we want our children to be. And there's a lot of things going on in our government right now in society that shows hypocrisy.
Would you all agree with that?
Yes, I think when we walk into the church too, I see it from week to week. 1 week they're, let's do this, and we're all about Christ. And then the struggling comes in, and then next week I'm not the same person I was before. Well, where are you? Can I follow you? Or not follow you like Christ wants us to follow him, but would I want to hang out with you? We want to be with wise people, to know and to learn and to have knowledge about what's going on today. And when you come into the church, it's like they're the same every week. They smile, they speak, can I do anything for you? You look like you're not there today. Can I help you in any way? That's what I want to see in the church. I don't want to see, oh, she does not even look right today. What's wrong with her? That's hypocrisy to me.
Okay. Do you see that in other places, in your job or?
Oh, yeah, my job. You can speak to somebody, and then I have to regroup myself and say, well, maybe they're having other issues. So I would say, you need a prayer today? And they would smile, like somebody cares enough to approach them, I saw it when I was working in the school a lot, and there's a lot of teachers that probably have a lot of things going on, from the administrator, from the board, school boards, whether they're getting paid different benefits this year than they weren't for the last 5 years. They come with a lot of baggage in the morning. But at the end of the day, they love the kids.
Also, when I think of hypocrisy, and you mentioned outside of the church, I also think about the entire church as an organization when I think of hypocrisy.
Okay.
You'll often see a lot of social media, advertising in the newspaper and different things about, different churches, how they welcome anyone, just different things. I have personally been to a lot of different churches. As I said, I used to be very involved in church, singing, a lot of different things from a minor on up. And a lot of the things that I see on public display are not really there in the church. So that's another issue for me. One thing I can truly say is that since I have not been attending my church in several years, outside of what I do for praising God and praying and things like that. I have seen with the churches I visited, which were actually Seventh-day Adventist churches, I can honestly say that I see that the church is practicing what they preach. I see the community service. I see the outreach that's being done, with the community as well as the church members. That is such a warm, welcoming feeling that when I've gone to the different Seventh-day Adventist churches, I can feel that people are practicing what they preach. I don't see the stigma of being hypocrites.
Okay.
So that's very enlightening for me, and it makes me look at things in a more positive note. Because when you see it broadcasted, but you don't walk the walk, then it makes people question.
I want to follow up with something that you said, Leslie, about at school. When you're talking about the people, and sometimes they may seem distant, or they may feel like they're not acting the way that they should because they may have personal things going on. You may discover that later. The people in the church are people.
They have the same issues.
Right.
They'll
So why is it, do you think, that we, in general, hypocrisy is talked about just as a highlight of church people, when in fact church people are people who have
the same issues.
things going on too?
Right.
Why do you think that might be?
When I come in on Sabbath and I say Happy Sabbath and I got a smile and I'm really joyful because God gave me this one day to rest, and I am so excited when I see other people that come in. But when they come in, it's like Happy Sabbath. It's like, whoa, okay. I have to remember they're coming from outside. I don't know what's going on in their home lives. I don't know whether their spouse is not a Seventh-day Adventist, so he might not even like for her to come, or vice versa. And so I have to remember those things, and I can't say that it's hypocritical of them coming in or me feeling that way, because I have to remember everybody's coming here for a reason. And it goes back to this church being a healing place to come to. And I want them to feel that even if I'm happy, they can't bring me down. It's still, you need a prayer, you want to talk about it, I'm available to you. I hope you enjoy the service. We have a breakfast on Sabbath, and I think it's a pretty awesome thing to do. But the prayer is what's important. So if we include them every week, those that are coming through our doors, that we should join them with understanding of knowing that they might be going through something. The children wouldn't wake up this morning. They couldn't find their shoes. And the mother's running around. I don't want to be late. I don't want to, and it takes a toll on people that walk through that door.
Right.
So, and they got caught up in the traffic. But God is good, and it's our place to make them feel that they can come here and share, and not just point a finger at them or judge them for what's going on in their lives,
All right. Well, thank you for clearing that up. I know that, I spent my whole life in church, and I spent my whole life doing other things, school and work and all that, and I've never heard anybody at work say, oh, he's a hypocrite. You only hear it in church. And so that's why I wanted to kind of bring that topic up, just in the sense of people in church are people too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the term hypocritical gets pegged on Christians a lot because, there's kind of like a blueprint that we're following to Christ. And, like I said, we are all on this journey getting closer to Him. And there are others who know what that blueprint looks like. And those who know what it looks like, but they're not ready to make that commitment. They're ready to pounce, as soon as somebody stumbles, and you claim to be a Christian. So those words being pelted at the Christian, especially the struggling one, the one who's trying, be very discouraging to
Right.
a Christian who is
Right.
trying their best.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether the person is in the church or outside of the church, those words hypocritical, they sting,
Yeah,
they hurt.
yeah.
And, you know, nobody knows your heart like God knows your heart.
Right.
And it's for someone outside to judge you in terms of how you feel and you know, your genuine feelings about serving God.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to be painful, and that's where this church hurt comes in.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who suffer from church hurt because people call them names, and hypocritical, I think, is one of the worst names you can be called.
Right.
And it does go back to, we were talking about struggling, you know? We all struggle from day to day. It's not like, okay, we're Christians and everything is perfect. It's not gonna be like that, you know? So there's a difference between struggling Christians and what was the other one you asked us about? Hypocrite, yeah. So there is a struggling for Christians. And we do worry about what other people think about us, you know? And we do have to put ourselves up above. And then we don't feel like we're up above, you know? And Christ is the only one that can kind of straighten it out. Well, I mean, Lorraine can't straighten me out at the end of the day. I could probably go to her and she can share the word with me and I can feel better, you know? Because I missed something in my walk that day, you know? Or Valerie can say, you know, I've been there. You know, empathy is really important for our church to understand that we all have been through something, you know.
And I would say the life of a Christian is sometimes harder because, you know, they're trying. The devil, he is real. And he is going to put more obstacles and stumbling blocks to bring us down. So
Keep us away.
we have to energize, we have to encourage, we have to uplift each other. The church is the best place to do that. It should be.
I also think there's a high level of expectation from individuals who come into a church. And I think that's where their mentality comes when they want to label people as hypocrites.
Right.
Because they're thinking that you're not human and that you won't sin. Just as you said, you know, even Christians are still gonna have a struggle. The devil is busy. And you already know, you know, that that's the way it is. But I do believe there's a high level of expectations. And I can even say that a little bit for myself, to be honest with you. I do have a level of expectation. And I say that because I would not expect a pastor or elder or any person that's teaching the word of God to do anything that's just totally out of the norm. You know, and then if you see that, you can address it or not address it, but then that kind of deters people away from the church setting, especially if you know something, and you can approach that individual, but it may not do any good. So a lot of times, the way things are today, it can dampen people's spirits, or you know, kind of. And I advise people in that situation to just talk to somebody, because you just can't label a church because of one person if it's something from the inside.
Right.
But you know, the other thing that I was thinking was that we put a pastor on a high pedestal, and the minute he falls, it's like, oh, I thought he was, you
Right.
know, and that's not the case. He's still human,
True.
you know, and he has struggles. I mean, where's the forgiveness, you know?
Right.
We loved him yesterday, but we don't love him today because he failed, you know?
Right.
And I find that to be hypocritical.
Well, that's why, again, we go back to the hypocrisy. If God can forgive us as many times as we go to Him and we're sincere,
That's right.
then how can the congregation not forgive a pastor if he or she,
Right.
you know, were to fail at something,
right.
you know? And as long as a person is open and honest, you know, you may not have to display it to everybody unless you know, feel like you have to. But I'm a firm believer that if God can forgive us for everything, and we go to him sincerely, he will forgive us as many times as we ask him. I believe that, we should do the same for individuals.
So something that you said really triggered something important for me. Because the reason that we do this ministry is to reach people who are never been to church, aren't sure about God and what Christianity is about, and then people who have been and have left. A lot of times what you said is true, people leave because of church hurt. And this word hypocrite gets thrown around a lot, and it's a very harsh word. Like saying it, there's a resonance to that, there's a power to that. It's almost like throwing an arrow at somebody. There's somebody watching who's had that experience and they've left. If you were sitting in front of them, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, don't allow anyone to make you feel that you're not deserving of Christ. Because he is the ultimate of why we're here. So we all humans, we all make mistakes, we all have different levels of degrees of sin, but we're not coming to look at sin, we're coming to look at Christ and let him be our guide and to raise ourselves, to not do the things that we used to do. We can't look at other people because they're going to fail us every time. But Christ will never fail us.
What would you say to that person?
I would say to that person basically the same thing, maybe not in those particular words, but something very similar. Because I always like to encourage people. And even if I'm not where I feel like I need to be, then I would even start to share some of my own personal experiences, just so the person will know that God is always with you if you call on him, no matter what. And I would just encourage them to just keep seeking, just like I'm doing actually.
Leslie?
I think I would hug them first and then tell them, the word is hurtful, but God is better, and to go back to like when we were little kids, sticks and stones will break our bones, but words will never hurt us. That's not true, but in the event that it would happen, you want to share that this isn't what you hold on to. It's the hurt of the word. The healing comes from Christ, like we was saying.
How do you look at Christ when you can't see him, but you can see people? We hear that all the time. Don't look at people, look at Christ. How would you say that someone should do that? How do you do that?
Are you saying how do you, sorry. Do you say how do you look at Christ?
Yeah. People say, don't look at people, look at Christ. But people are who you see.
Yeah, I know.
People who are saying they're Christians.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, I actually feel Christ.
Okay.
I feel Christ. I feel it in my heart. I know as far as, and I hope I'm on the right track of what you're saying. I hope I'm clear on what you're saying. I really don't look up to people. I mentioned earlier about how some people, kind of have expectations of a pastor or an elder or whatever the case may be. And I thought that I did that at one time, but I don't do that anymore because I've now realized those individuals are human, just as she said, and they are able to make mistakes just as I would. So I really don't look to an individual. I look to God because I can feel his presence even though I can't see anything. I have faith enough to know that his presence is there and I know that he's with me through everything.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
A lot of times we don't express ourselves in terms of what may have hurt us or who may have hurt us. And all of a sudden you'll notice somebody stops coming to church. And nobody knows what happened. Have you seen so-and-so? And they ask, well, you missed them, but then do they go the extra mile and call them, hey, I missed you. is everything okay? Now, they may or may not say anything, and some people may not even call, and in months or a whole year goes by, I haven't seen some, and that is even more hurtful to not be missed. And so, when someone says something to you that hurts you, number one, I think it's important to speak up and say something, because no one would know otherwise. And then all of a sudden, you see people dropping off like flies, where's the membership? And it all goes back to church hurt, and there are times, and this is even happened to me, something was said, and I thought, okay, these words were said about me because I am so full of sin, I am unworthy to be at church, and I was about to release myself from all the offices or whatever that I held. And I said something to one of the groups that I work with. I said, today will be my last Sabbath, I will no longer be with you. And they're like, what? And I'm glad I said something because they all, got up and came and hugged, and thinking about it, it's kind of like, but it was very emotional for me. And I had to stop and think, we're all on this journey. We can't let words that someone said say to us stop us from enjoying the kingdom.
Amen. This ministry is called GodCast, How to Life with God. So all of our final questions are about that. So what I want to ask you all is, what makes you continue to life with God, even though His church has, does, and will continue to have hypocritical people in it?
For me, I feel God placed me here. He put me here on this planet for a reason. And even though, yes, I'm not perfect, I'm on this journey to better myself. He's blessed me with certain gifts, but those gifts are not just for me. On my journey, as I try to become a better person, to be more like Him, the gifts that He's blessed me with, I'm to bless others with. I'm supposed to be in a space where the people around me can be blessed with the gifts that He's given to me. So it doesn't matter what you've heard, Tom, Dick, Harry, Susan, Sally, whatever they're doing. I have to keep my eyes focused, laser focused on Him, continue to grow and improve and stretch myself, and in the process, be a blessing to others. That's what I think.
Amen.
My God life would not be the same without Him, seriously. And I've experienced it for years. And until I really surrender to Him and know that He's in my presence, then it works. I don't worry about pleasing man, although I have a tendency to hope that they enjoy what's happening around me. Actually, never would I say, don't have God in your life. Never would I say that, because He is important, and He is the one that makes us. He cares for us, He loves us, and He's merciful. I could not live without Him. And as much as I love my children, my husband, and my friends, it's not the same. He is worthy of everything that goes on in my life. And I know it without a doubt. I could not do without Him. And I've grown. I don't speak like everybody speaks, but He didn't give me the words to speak like everybody. I enjoy people, and I can care for people. So that's my life with God, and He's present.
All right.
I choose to have a life with God because I'm more at peace. I tend to wake up with better days knowing that I can thank him for letting me see another day, no matter how difficult it may be or how good it may be. And I definitely learned not to look up to man, because every time my mentality was, you know, the person in the pulpit was the person I would, you know, almost honor and everything because they were teaching and speaking the word. I learned that that person is speaking for God, and I'm learning from that. However, with God in my life, I already know all things are possible. I've had miraculous things happen that I would never imagine. And, you know, it's just a very good feeling. So in my growth process, I'm still learning. The devil is still busy, but I now know how to face the devil. So that's making me a stronger person, a wiser person, and able to share it with other people. So I like my life with God.
All right. Thank you. Oh, this has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate you all taking the time. We just know that our viewers are not all people who understand this Christian walk and who have been hurt in church and who are even wondering about this whole God thing. And so we appreciate you all being transparent and honest and sharing with us the hurts and the challenges, but also the beauty of life with God. Thank you again for taking your time for sharing with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
And thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Hypocrisy is such a common word around churchy folks. It is a harsh word, a hurtful word when used against you, an effective weapon when you use it against another. But what is it really? What is hypocrisy? What is a hypocrite? Jesus addressed this often while he was on this earth, and he is the best person to lead us to truth on this topic. Hypocrisy is when you are always pointing out another's sin while ignoring and continuing in your own sin. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 5, Jesus says, "You hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." Jesus doesn't say, don't help your brother see if he's doing wrong. He says, fix your own huge stuff before pointing out someone's small stuff. You can't even see clearly between right and wrong if you are living in active sin. Underlining this verse for me is the idea that if I recognized and owned my own sin and has wrestled with it, removing it from my life, then I probably would go humbly, not accusingly, to help my brother. The hypocrite doesn't do that. They don't even see their sin. And Jesus calls them out on that. Hypocrisy is also when you do good only so others can give you glory and recognize you. In Matthew 6, verse 2, Jesus says, "Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound the trumpet before you as the hypocrites do, in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be glorified by men. In the heart of a hypocrite, there is no real love for others. Their true motive is simply to look good, that others can praise them, think highly of them, and place them on a pedestal." Hypocrisy is also when you obsess about the rules and regulations of the Bible, the church, and the law, but you neglect people. In Matthew 23:23, Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others." Jesus never says don't tithe or don't keep the commandments, at least the ones that he gave us. But he says, for real, none of that matters if you are absent of justice, mercy, and faithfulness. Faithfulness, justice, and mercy, these are all about people. In these three examples, and there are plenty more in the Bible, we see that hypocrites are about themselves. But God is about people. Followers of God must be about people as well. The whole Bible is about God and his people and his love and his desire to bring them back to him. True Christians will demonstrate that. Yet, as we strive to become like Christ, are there times when we act differently than what God would have us do? Yes. Does that make us hypocrites? No. Not if the direction of our life is toward God, his ways, and his people. Sometimes we are right about someone being a hypocrite. Sometimes we see them at an off moment and we assume. As Christians, we must remember that people are watching us to see not how we are, but how God is. When we are about people, then they start to believe that that is how God is as well. When we are about ourselves, then they assume that so is God. We have a responsibility to do God right. However, if you are watching and this issue has impacted you, caused you to reject God or church, you also have a responsibility to do God right. People screw up. God never does. And if you give him a chance, he will prove it. Because ultimately, though it may sound cliche, we are supposed to look at Jesus and not one another for just this reason. Thank you for joining us. If you want to give God a chance to show his true self to you, or if you want to find out more about what doing life with God is all about, you can leave your comments and questions below or email us at mbsda.godcast@gmail.com. And one of our ministry team will connect with you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, so you can receive the alerts when they come out. Like and share with others who also may have questions about what it's like to do life with God. And please, join us next time when we will ask more questions, seek more answers as we continue moving Godward.